Hello everyone, welcome back to Coach Craig Sports. Today is Friday, so we're going to be doing starts and sits for the 13 remaining matchups, talking about each team, players involved, and who I would start and sit given the matchup. Keep in mind some of this will vary league to league, team to team, but this is an overall guideline. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments at the end of the video. I will respond to each and every one of your comments as long as it's before the game time and try to help you guys the best that I can. So the first game we got is the Texans and the Browns. Texans are obviously my favorite team, and we'll talk about them first. We got Deshaun Watson. He's going to be a start in this game. It should be a pretty good matchup for him overall. Something to keep in mind with this game, though, is the weather could be a little poor. Could be over 20 miles an hour winds once again in Cleveland. We'll just have to keep an eye out for that. It could affect the passing game a little bit as well. David Johnson's going to be a sit. He's got that concussion. Looks like he's not going to play in this one. We'll keep an eye on it going forward. If it gets closer to game time and he does play, then you can play him. But until further notice, we're going to be sitting him. Duke Johnson, he's going to fill in for him. He performed pretty average last week, honestly. But if you're in a league and you need a running back, he's a great guy. If you're in a PPR league, he's definitely somebody you should be starting. Will Fuller, Brandon Cooks, they're both going to be starts. Like I said, just keep in mind that win with the passing game as we get closer to game time. Then Darren Fells, Jordan Akins, we're going to sit both of them. They're pretty hit or miss as it is. Texans defense is awful this year, so we're obviously going to sit them. And then once again, we're not going to be talking too much about the kickers unless there's a notable change. Then on the Browns side, we got Baker Mayfield. And this is a pretty good matchup for him. If the wind is not in play, I consider him a streamer quarterback this week. If the wind is in play, I would sit him. I do expect them to run the ball quite a bit. Kareem Hunt is going to be around in this one, and Nick Chubb is likely to come back this week. So I'm going to be starting both these guys. Texans' run defense isn't the best overall, so both of them should have pretty good days. Jarvis Landry, I think you can start as well. Once again, keep in mind that wind. If you have better options and the wind's a factor, definitely you can bench him then in that case. Rashard Higgins is going to be a sit. And Austin Hooper is going to be a start. Honestly, with him, I think even if the wind's a factor, he's probably going to be involved more in the short passing game, so he's going to be a factor still regardless. Browns defense is going to be a sit, and then we'll get moved over to the next game. So next up, we got the Lions and the Washington football team. On the Lions side, we got Matthew Stafford. He's probably going to be a sit this week, honestly. Washington's been pretty good against the pass overall this season. So if you got a better option, play your better option over Stafford. If you don't, you can still play Stafford. Adrian Peterson's going to be a sit. DeAndre Swift, you can probably play as like a low-end running back too, especially in PPR leagues. Washington is more susceptible against the run than the pass, so it could be a good game for him. Kenny Galladay looks like he's going to miss once again, so he's going to be a sit. Marvin Jones is a sit for me as well in this one. He's actually my sit of the week in our podcasting start-sit article. Washington football team's been great against wide receivers so far this year, and Marvin Jones is a very touchdown-dependent wide receiver. TJ Hawkinson's going to be a start. I think he's going to get a lot of volume in this game, and that's part of where you can beat Washington. Lions defense is going to be a sit. They've been awful the last two games. Washington side, we got Alex Smith. He is not somebody I'm looking to start in a one-quarterback league, but if you're in a two-quarterback or a super flex league, you can roll him out there this week against the Lions defense that's not too great overall. J.D. McKissick, you can start if you're playing in like a PPR or a half-point PPR league. Should be a decent matchup for him. Antonio Gibson, you're going to start pretty much in all leagues this week as long as he's playing. He had a shoulder injury earlier this week, but he was able to practice in full yesterday, so I expect him to be a go. Should be a very good matchup for him. Terry McLaurin is a guy I like a lot this week. You can start him, roll him out there, and he should do very well. Logan Thomas, he's kind of borderline streamer tight end. If you need a tight end to start this week, he could be your guy. Washington defense, they should have a decent matchup, so if you need to play them, you can play them, but you should have a better option this week. Then we got the Packers and the Jaguars, and this is actually another game that could be affected by wind a little bit. So I expect the running games to be more involved. Aaron Rodgers, you're going to start in regardless. Aaron Jones, you're going to start. He's a must start. He should have a great game in this one. Devontae Adams is a must start. He should have another good game in this one as well. MVS is going to be a sit. Alan Lazard could be back in this game. There hasn't been too much out there whether he's going to play or not, but both him and MVS would be sits in this case. We just kind of want to see how that shakes out between them. Robert Tonyan, if you don't have a better option at tight end, you can play him. If you have a better option, go ahead with your better option pretty much. You can play the Packers defense once again this week, so if you picked him up last week in that San Francisco matchup, hopefully you didn't drop him because this is another good matchup. Against a rookie 6th-round pick quarterback that is making his second career start, he was all right last week, but he did make some mistakes, and he got away with a few things. On Jaguars side, Jack Glutton, you're going to be sitting him. regardless. And James Robinson, he's going to be a start. If you're in a deep PPR league and you really need somebody to play, you're really thin at running back, there's not much out there on the waiver wire, you can probably start Chris Thompson in this one. I expect the Packers to be up early, and the Jaguars are going to have to throw the ball and play catch-up. That will make Chris Thompson more involved overall. Should have a decent game in PPR formats if you need kind of like a safe floor guy, and you're in a real deep league once again. DJ Chark, I expect him to have a pretty good game, especially if Jair Alexander misses with his concussion issue. Laviska Shenault, he's probably not going to play in this game with his hamstring injury, been limited in practice so far this week. Just keep an eye on that going forward. He's not a guy I would start either way, but pretty much the rest of the wide receivers from Jacksonville I'm probably going to sit. Conley and Cole could be a little bit interesting if Laviska Shenault would miss. Conley obviously was the one that stepped up last week, but I wouldn't expect too much out of either one of them. Tyler Eifert, he's kind of like a streamable tight end. He could have a little bit of value in this game, but you probably have better options available to you. And then the Jaguars' defense is going to be a sit. We will mention the new kicker for the Jaguars because Josh Lambo went back on IR with another issue. He's going to be gone for the rest of the year. They signed Chase McGlaughlin this week off the Vikings practice squad, I believe it was. So he's probably going to be the kicker in this one. At this point in time, you can't really start him. It's not the best matchup to start him in anyways, so avoid him for now. Then we have the Giants and the Eagles. So on the Giants side, we got Daniel Jones. He's going to be a sit. We got Wayne Gallman, Deion Lewis, Alfred Morris, and Devonta Freeman once again. I'm not really looking to start any of these guys. Devonta Freeman, he's still been limited in practice, so it doesn't look like he'll play. If he does play, I would not start any of these guys. If Freeman misses, though, you could probably roll Gallman out. Just kind of tamper your expectations with him. Philadelphia's been pretty good against the running game. Darius Slayton is going to be a sit for me. Sterling Shepard, you can start. In this matchup, I think he'll be all right. We'll have to see who Darius Slay covers, whether it's Slayton or Shepard. Golden Tate is going to be a sit. Yeah, he's had a lot of issues with the team lately, so I don't even want to mess around with that. Evan Ingram, you could probably play Evan Ingram in this one, and he's not going to be the worst. He's going to be low in tight end one, a little bit of upside for more if he does score a touchdown. Then on the Eagles side, we got Carson Wentz. He's actually my quarterback sit of the week. I don't think he's going to step up his play enough in this one. I think they'll rely a little bit more on Miles Sanders now that he's probably going to be back, so Miles Sanders is obviously a start. Alshon Jeffrey looks like he will be back in this game as well. He's going to be a sit. We just kind of want to see how often he's on the field, how much he's going to play, and what his role in this offense will be. Travis Fulgham, I think you could start still, even with Alshon Jeffrey and Miles Sanders coming back, and Jalen Reagor, Dallas Goedert. He's still been the focal point so far this year. I don't expect that to change at least this week. Jalen Reagor, I'm going to be sitting until we know his full role, what the offense looks like a little bit more. Dallas Goedert, you can start this week. Just kind of know he's a boom-bust guy, especially this week. And then the Eagles defense, you can play as well. I think I missed the Giants defense on the other side, but you can start the Giants defense and the Eagles defense. Both of them in this matchup should be pretty good. Both these quarterbacks are pretty turnover-prone. The next game is Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers. So on the Buccaneers side, we got Tom Brady. I think you can start him in this game, low in quarterback one. Obviously, if you have a better option, you can roll out your better option. But this is kind of a bounce-back game for Tampa. In this one, they're going to come back. They're going to come out shots firing, hopefully, and try to say, hey, last week we got steamrolled by New Orleans, but this is not how we're going to be as a team overall. So I expect Tom Brady to have a pretty good game. Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette. Nobody's really stood out lately, so I'm probably sitting both these guys unless you have no clear better option. Then you can roll them out. Then we get to the wide receivers. You got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, and then you have Rob Gronkowski at tight end. I think you can start Gronk. It should be a pretty decent matchup for him. The rest of these guys, you pretty much just have to call them like low-end wide receiver 2s, wide receiver 3s. If you don't have a better option, you can start them over that. If you do have a better option, obviously play your better option. I'm not real keen on starting Antonio Brown yet. We'll have to see how his role is in this offense. I know Bruce Arians said they're not going to have him on the field as much, so that's something to keep in mind. Tampa's defense, you can play in this one. They've been pretty good all year besides the couple games against New Orleans. Then on the Panthers side, we got Teddy Bridgewater. He's going to be a sit. Going up against a good defense, you should have a better option available to you. Mike Davis, Christian McCaffrey is out this game. So Davis is a start, kind of a running back 2 type of guy. Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel. I'm not really keen on starting any of these guys this week. Samuel might have the best matchup in the slot. Samuel's been having pretty good weeks back-to-back. You can roll him out there if you really need to. But these other guys I'm just not too excited about this week in general. Ian Thomas is a sit. Once again, he has pretty much done nothing this year. Panthers defense is also a sit. Then we got the Broncos and the Raiders. We got Drew Lock. Drew Lock was actually my quarterback start of the week. So it was a guy in ECR that was outside the top 12, pretty much outside the top 15, that I thought has a decent chance of finishing inside the top 12. He's low-end quarterback one for me. Still guys I liked ahead of him, but he could have a decent week in this game against the Raiders defense. Then we have Melvin Gordon. He's going to be a start, but he's not somebody I'm excited about. Low-end running back 2 type of thing guy. Phillip Lindsay, you could probably start if you need to, but if you don't, just pivot for now. Tim Patrick is a guy I like to start this week. Good matchup for him. Should be very good overall. And then we have Jerry Jeudy. He had a shoulder injury, didn't practice on Wednesday. Then he was limited yesterday's practice, I believe, so we'll just have to monitor his situation going forward. If he does play, you can roll him out as a wide receiver 3, flex play type of guy, but I'm not too excited about him overall this week. Noah Fant, he has an ankle injury as well. I think he'll be fine. Broncos defense, you're going to sit. On the Raiders side, you got Derek Carr. He's kind of like a low-end streamer quarterback, probably around the same range as Drew Lock, honestly. Carr might be a little bit safer play. Lock has a little bit more upside, though. Josh Jacobs, you're going to be starting. Henry Ruggs, you're going to sit. Nelson Aguilar, you're probably going to want to sit him, honestly, this week. He could have a good game. He's got a touchdown in 3 out of his last 4 games, but just keep in mind that he doesn't get a lot of targets, so if he gets the targets, he gets a lot of long targets. That could help him a little bit. So if you're playing in a standard league, he might be a little bit better. If you're playing in a PPR league, he's not as great, though. Darren Waller, you're obviously going to start. One of the best tight ends left to play. And then we got the Raiders defense is going to be a sit as well. We got the Dolphins and the Chargers. And this is the battle of the rookie quarterbacks. We got Tua Tagovailoa and Justin Herbert. Tua is going to be a sit for me in this one. I know he looked better last week, but he's still a rookie. I still don't think he's looked that great. He's losing Preston Williams, so I don't expect him to do that great. He's more like a middle-of-the-road quarterback, not somebody I'm excited about starting. Matt Breida has practice this week. He might play. If he plays and you really need a running back, you can play him. But I'm trying to avoid all these Dolphins running backs because you got Matt Breida, Jordan Howard, DeAndre Washington, Ahmed, Patrick Laird. It's just a mess right now, honestly. Devontae Parker, you can play in this one. Just kind of tamper your expectations. More like a wide receiver 3 type of guy. But he should have a pretty good amount of volume with Preston Williams missing. Mike Gesicki, I like a little bit more. I think they'll use him a little bit more as a wide receiver in this game with Preston Williams gone. Dolphins defense, I'm not looking to play them this week, honestly. They've been pretty good overall, but this is not quite the matchup for them. Justin Herbert, I'm going to start. Should be a pretty good day for him once again. Justin Jackson looks like he's probably going to miss. Depending on what report you actually read, he has anything between a hamstring and a knee injury. So maybe it's a little bit of both. Maybe it's one or the other. But I'm not really excited about starting any of these Chargers running backs as well. You got Joshua Kelly. You got Kalen Ballage that had an okay game last week. You got Tromaine Pope that had a decent game 2 weeks ago. Pope's going to play. But it could just be a 3-headed committee at this point. And then we have Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. I'd probably sit Williams and start Allen in this one. Not too much to say there. Hunter Henry, he's been pretty rough the last couple weeks. The last 5 games, he hasn't gone over 40 yards. He's only got 1 touchdown in the season. He's the guy that I'm not really excited about starting. Then on the Chargers side, their defense, I'm going to be sitting as well. We've got the Cardinals and the Bills up next, and I'm going to start Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's been one of the best quarterbacks for fantasy this year, so obviously you're going to start him. Kenyon Drake has been a limited participant in practice 2 days in a row. It looks like he's trending towards playing. If he plays, you could probably roll him out there, but I expect more of a 50-50 split with him and Edmonds this week. Edmonds obviously wasn't that great last week, though. And then we have DeAndre Hopkins. You're obviously starting him. Christian Kirk, I think you can start in this matchup. He should be pretty good overall. Larry Fitzgerald, if you're in a deep PPR league and you need somebody to throw out there, he's not the worst guy in the world, so you could roll him out. Cardinals defense, I'm going to be avoiding in this one as well. Then on the Bills side, we got Josh Allen. You're going to start him. Devin Singletary, I'm going to sit. Zach Moss, I think you can start. He should be all right as a low-end running back too, or like a flex play. And then you got Stephon Diggs, you're going to start. John Brown, I think you can start. Gabriel Davis, Cole Beasley, Dawson Knox are all going to be sits this week. Bills defense, while they did play good last week, I'm not going to start them in this matchup. Don't think it's one that they can do too well in. Then we have the Rams and the Seahawks. And on the Rams side, we got Jared Goff. He's a streamable quarterback this week. And if you need a quarterback, you can play him. Obviously, he has a great matchup against Seattle overall. But just keep in mind that he is coming off probably one of his worst games as a pro. We'll have to see if he can bounce back from that. Darrell Henderson, he had a thigh injury this week. It didn't sound like it was going to be an issue. Maybe it becomes one, but if he plays, I think you can start him. If he doesn't play, I'm going to be starting Malcolm Brown, and I think he could have a pretty good game. Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, you're going to start both these guys against Seattle. If you need a tight end, you could probably start Tyler Higbee. Just kind of tamper your expectations, though. Gerald Everett's somebody that's kind of around too. He's probably the better receiving tight end, but I'm probably trying to avoid these guys unless I'm real desperate for a tight end. Rams defense, I'm going to sit this week. Obviously, Seahawks are pretty good. Kai Forbass, the kicker. I think we talked about this already before, but Sloman got cut. Then on the Seahawks side, we got Russell Wilson. He's obviously a start. Seattle Seahawks running backs. It doesn't sound like Carlos Hyde's going to play again. Chris Carson's on track to play, or it sounds like Chris Carson's going to be on track to play. If he does play, obviously you start him. If he doesn't play, you can probably roll DJ Dallas out once again. Then we got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. You can start both of them. This could be a Lockett game if Jalen Ramsey covers DK Metcalf. So just keep that in mind. Greg Olsen's going to be a sit. Seahawks defense is obviously a sit as well. Then we got the Saints and the 49ers. On the Saints side, you got Drew Brees. I think you can start him in this one. He's a guy I really do like the rest of the season. If you look at their schedule, he has a pretty easy schedule. So if you got Drew Brees, you're probably sitting pretty. You can probably roll with him for the rest of the season. If you're kind of struggling at quarterback, maybe you can make a little trade towards Drew Brees. I don't think it'll take that much to get him, though. Then Alvin Kamara is obviously a start. Latavius Murray is going to be a sit. He could get some volume at the end of this game if the Saints do go up big, though. Then Michael Thomas, he's a start. I think this is going to be a big game for him. They're going to want to give him the ball since this is his real second game back. Emmanuel Sanders, a little bit of a revenge game for him since he was on the 49ers part of last year, but I don't see him having a big day, so he's going to be a sit. Jared Cook's obviously a sit for me. He's going against the 49ers, who have shut down tight ends pretty much all year. The Saints defense is one of my favorite defenses to play or stream this week. And I think they'll do great against the 49ers. They're pretty banged up. They got a lot of other issues as it is. 49ers side, we got Nick Mullins. He's obviously a sit unless you're desperate in like a 2-quarterback league or a super flex league. Jerick McKinnon, I think you can roll him out in a PPR league, but I don't have too high of expectations for him this week. JaMychal Hasty, he's going to be a sit as well. Saints defense is pretty good overall, especially against the run. Brandon Ayuk, you could probably start as like a wide receiver 3 or a type of flex play, but if he gets Marshawn Lattimore on him, he might not do much. I don't even want to recommend Richie James, but if Lattimore's on Ayuk, don't be surprised if Richie James has a good game, but I'm not expecting it by any means. It looks like Deebo Samuel's probably going to be out once again this week. Then we got the tight ends. We got Ross Dwelley and Jordan Reed. Dwelley played a lot last week, and Reed barely played. I'm not sure how this will shake out, so I'm going to want to avoid both of them. 49ers defense, we're going to sit once again as well. Then we got the Bengals and the Steelers. Joe Burrow's going to be a sit. He's going against the Steelers defense that's very good. Joe Mixon, we all thought he was going to be back this week, but so far it's not looking that way. So if you have him and he doesn't play, you got to sit him. If he plays, obviously you can start him. If he doesn't play, Gio Bernard is a start, especially in PPR formats. Then for the wide receivers, we got A.J. Green. I'm going to sit him. T. Higgins, it's probably going to be a sit as well. Tyler Boyd, I think you can start, though. So Boyd's the most consistent. Higgins could get some volume, but just kind of tamper your expectations for him as well. Bengals defense, you're going to sit unless Ben Roethlisberger doesn't play due to his COVID thing or his knee issues. Then for the Steelers, you got Ben Roethlisberger. As long as he's playing, you're going to start him in this matchup. James Conner, you're going to start. Should be a good matchup for him as well. Juju, you're going to start. He's been getting a bunch of targets recently. Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, you're probably going to sit them unless you don't have any better options. Just kind of tamper your expectations for those two guys this week. Eric Ebron, pretty solid tight end that you can start this week. Low end tight end one with some upside for more. Steelers defense, you're going to start obviously pretty much every week. Then we got the Ravens and the Patriots. So Lamar Jackson, he's a start. I'm kind of tampering my expectations with him. Patriots defense hasn't been real good against the run game, so maybe it is a game that Lamar Jackson kind of get things right. But he hasn't been the greatest this year, especially throwing the ball. Mark Ingram looks like he was a limited participant in practice on Wednesday. Didn't practice on Thursday, so we'll just have to keep an eye out on him. If he does play, you're going to sit him. If If he doesn't play, you're still going to sit him. If Ingram's out, you can start Dobbins and Edwards. If Ingram plays, all bets are off. We'll just have to see how it shakes out. But just depending on your other options, make a big difference there. Hollywood Brown is going to be a sit going against Stephon Gilmore. Mark Andrews, he's been much of a disappointment this year, but I feel like this could be a get-right game, especially if the Patriots get hyper-focused on the running game, or if the Patriots get out in front and the Ravens need to come back. Ravens defense, you can start in this one, should be pretty solid once again. Patriots side, I wouldn't recommend starting Cam Newton. I'm in a 2-quarterback league, and I'm not even going to play him this week. I'm actually streaming Jared Goff over him, so not the greatest week for him. But if he does always have that rushing upside, he's got that rushing touchdown upside as well. Patriots running backs situation is a mess. We just want to see who's healthy. I can't really recommend too much about the running back situation at this point in time. Rex Burkhead could be the guy if Damian Harris and Shoney Michel both miss. But if Harris plays and Michel doesn't play, then Harris is probably the guy. If Harris misses and Michel plays, then kind of all bets are off. If you're in a PPR league, obviously James White's still going to be a decent guy. N'Keal Harry, he did return to practice in a limited capacity. I believe it was yesterday. And I'm just sitting him. He honestly hasn't been that good this year, hasn't done too much. Jacoby Myers, he's pretty much like a wide receiver 3 flex play in this matchup. He's not going to do what he did against the Jets, but if he's the guy getting all the targets, he should have some value, especially in PPR. Damiere Byrd, I'm going to sit. Ryan Izzo, I'm going to sit as well. Patriots defense is going to be a sit for me too. Then the last game of the week, we got the Vikings and the Bears. Kirk Cousins is going to be a sit. Obviously, the Bears have pretty good defense overall. Dalvin Cook's going to be a start. Adam Thielen, the other writers in our podcastic start-sit article, they all had Adam Thielen as sits this week. I think this is a game that Thielen gets right. So I'm going to start him still. I'm going to sit Justin Jefferson. I'm going to sit Kyle Rudolph. Irv Smith, he had a nice game a week ago. Kind of got banged up, but I don't expect too much from him, so he's going to be a sit. Vikings defense is going to be a sit. Honestly, they could be all right in this game against Nick Foles if the Bears offense struggles, but not anybody that I'm looking to play. Then on the Bears side, we got Nick Foles. He's going to be a sit. Even though it's a decent matchup for him, I just don't trust Matt Nagy calling the plays at this point in time. David Montgomery has that concussion. He might miss. He does obviously have an extra day to clear protocol since they're playing on Monday night. But if he doesn't play, it gets kind of ugly for the Bears. You could be down to Cordero Patterson and Ryan Nall and Lamar Miller potentially as well. If he doesn't play and you got those three, I'm not really excited about starting any of them. If Montgomery did miss and they didn't bring Lamar Miller up for the practice squad for some reason, Ryan Nall could be a value and somebody you should pick up. But I'm not expecting that to be the case. Allen Robinson is going to be a start. Anthony Miller and Darnell Mooney, one of these two guys is probably going to have a good game, but I honestly have no idea who it is, so I'm just going to sit both of them. Jimmy Graham, I think you can play in this one. He's been pretty consistent over the weeks, especially if you play in PPR formats. Bears defense, you're going to start. Just kind of tamper your expectations with them as well. But overall, these are the starts and sits for the week. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed these. They gave you a little bit more insight into the week. Like I said earlier, if you guys have any more start-sit questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments, and I will reply to every single one of them. And if you guys have any other questions in general, feel free to reach out, whether it's in the comments, at my email, coachcraigsports@gmail.com, on Twitter, at coachcraigsport, or on the Coach Craig Sports Facebook page. If you guys liked and enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. It helps build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, and that's about you, the viewer, helping you with your fantasy football experience, helping you enjoy it more, helping your team get more wins, and hopefully some more championships as well. If you're a new or current subscriber who has yet to do so, also hit that notification bell down below. It lets you know every single time I post up a video. Like I've been saying in most of my videos, post up about 5 videos a week, Monday through Friday. But with that being said, that's pretty much all we got for this video. Once again, this is one of my favorite videos of the week. I like going in depth in each matchup, trying to do some starts and sits, so I hope you guys all enjoyed it as well. But with that being said, that's all I got, and I hope you guys enjoyed the rest of your day.